What's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in again today to the episode number 2 of the podcast. Today I am joined by Logan Hermsen. He was my assistant coach at Cortland State Wrestling, and we are currently in Titletown Fight Club's facility. This is where I train under my coach, Todd Kutry. I just really want to give Logan a quick second to introduce himself and all of his accomplishments, because I know it's a pretty big list, and I know that I learned a ton from him, so I want him to introduce himself real quick.
Yeah, like Jake said, my name is Logan Hermsen. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I wrestled Division III digitally at the Wisconsin Team Point, where I was a 2-time national champ at 165 pounds. Yeah.
All right. Well, no, yeah. As you said, 2-time national champ. That's a pretty impressive career that he had as a collegiate wrestler. So really quick, as an overview, we're going to be talking about his mindset when it came to wrestling and overcoming fear and doubt, because I think that those are really important when it comes to high performance, being an athlete. So Logan, I just wanted to start by asking, you had kind of an interesting career going from your freshman year to your senior year. From your freshman year, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you won around 14-ish matches in your freshman year. And then 2 years later, you won your first national championship, and then backed it up the second year as a senior, you won again. So I just kind of want to go over what that looked like for you and what you did to get from good to national champion, and how your mindset kind of shifted over those 2 to 3 years.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, freshman year coming into college, I had a losing record. I was on varsity, which is good for me. That was a good goal. That's kind of what I wanted to do my freshman year, as I wasn't a highly sought after talent or recruit coming out of high school. So I think that at any level, especially the college level, just dedication and just being persistent and resilient in your training, in your mindset, in your goals, can really go a long way. And I think that did, for me especially, I had to do everything right in order to make that leap from average college wrestler to national champion. No matter what happens, any adversity you face, any hiccups or bumps in the road, you kind of have to keep the course, remembering your goals always.
Absolutely. No, I think that one important thing that a lot of people sort of need to hear is that if you want to get to the level that you were at, consistency is something that's really key. Showing up every single day, even if you don't think that you're making progress, just because you're in something every single day, it might not look like you're making progress right then and there, but people around you will notice it. And if you can kind of try and take a step back, you'll be able to see it as well. I know that's something that I struggled with when I was originally learning, and then throughout the entire season, it didn't really feel like I was getting better, but I had really good people around me saying like, hey, like, no, like, keep at it, like, keep being consistent with your training, and you'll start to notice the differences. And I think that that's really important, being consistent every single day, even if you don't want to show up, even if you can't see the results, keep doing what you've been doing in order to get from good to national champion, or just increasing your skill with whatever sport that you're taking part of. So.
Yeah, most definitely. You gotta be, consistent with the things you're good at, and then I think that setting goals, like small goals for every practice, to work on things that you need help with or you're struggling with, is also important as well.
Yep. So what kind of goals did you have? Like, give me an example of a small goal that you would set, and then what was a big goal that you had? Perhaps, I mean, obviously being a national champion was your big goal, but did you have something else that kind of went along with that? That would be sort of incremental along the way with the small goals? Because I don't know, you didn't necessarily know if you were going to become a national champ, so.
Yeah, I would say whenever I went to the practice room, like before practice, I would kind of, think to myself, all right, like I have to, like during live, I'm going to hit, 10 double legs to finishes, or I'm gonna, just work on things that I know I need to get better. So like, okay, I'm not like my worst position. I'm a worst position. I wasn't as good on my feet as I was on the mat. So I'd be like, all right, I have to work on my feet during live situations like extra hard. I have to get 20 takedowns in this 10-minute go. So those are just like little short goals like that, as far as like practice wise, to kind of like push myself like physically and mentally as well. Yeah. And as far as like long-term like seasonal goals, I guess a lot of it was just for me, like my junior, seniors, like staying healthy and doing things right away from the technical side of things. So like kind of keep my diet right and make sure I get good sleep and all those things.
Absolutely, no, that's a very good, those are very good. I think that also what we were talking about, what you talked to, I know myself and just the entire team about this year, was also during each practice, be present. So be present with each and every rep that you're taking in order to get the most out of it. Don't just kind of flow through the motions. I know that's something that I tried to take, not only before I met you, but especially during the season when I was working with you, because especially you were taking time and I wanted to utilize that time to the best of my ability. So really trying to be present with every single rep that I was taking and trying to get the most out of it so I could progress as fast as possible. Because for me, I was playing catch up, because I was wrestling with guys who had been wrestling their entire lives, and I had literally been wrestling for about 10 months. So I had to be present, and I had to kind of take every ounce that I could from every rep. So no, I really like that. So next I wanted to go into, what was your mindset like with the winning and losing? Because again, you had your fair share of losses, but then you had your fair share of wins. So what did that kind of look like for you?
So I would say that the saying, winners win, is kind of like a good mentality. Like you have like that I'm going to win kind of like, you can't have the thought of like losing like in your mind, because then you've already beaten yourself. So I think that having that like winning killer mentality is so huge, especially in a sport such as wrestling, where all the pressure is on you because only you're out there, only you're in control of yourself, of the match. And I would say that even if you lose, like let's say you thought you're gonna win this match and you lose, you can't really, or you shouldn't, reflect poorly on that, or be down on yourself for that. You definitely have to reflect on your losses. Take it for what it is. So like, watch film. Like, what did you do wrong? Like, what can you improve on? Why did you lose this match? Was it your conditioning? Was it your technique? Was it a position that he was catching you in?
Absolutely.
You just have to look and reflect on losses.
Absolutely.
Survive and adapt.
No, for sure. Yeah, you definitely have that killer mindset, and I noticed that when you would go live with the guys in the room, and that was really, really cool to see and to kind of experience from my point of view as one of the athletes under your tutelage during the year. Because I know for me, winning and losing, I'm not overly competitive. Winning and losing, it's kind of in the middle ground for me. Obviously, I hate losing and I don't want to lose, but and I love to win. But if I lose, I don't get overly upset usually, because for me, it's more of, if you give me a long enough timeline, I'm going to figure out how to win, and I'm going to persevere and kind of just keep going and going and going when you stop, basically. So Will Smith often says, okay, if it's you and me on a treadmill together, you're gonna get off first or I'm gonna die trying. That's the kind of mindset that I try to take to athletics and my performance as an athlete.
Yeah.
So it's very, very interesting to hear how you kind of see winning and losing. And I think
I just hate losing. It's like just the thought of me like losing at anything is just like it really irks me.
For sure.
That's how I think. And I think in your situation, being so raw, so new to the sport, like, I mean, you're gonna take your lumps, like you're gonna lose. Like you can't like be. It's hard to grow that mentality right away.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I think your mentality on that is really, really good. Just keep pushing on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So obviously during the time of being a freshman and then becoming a 2-time national champion, you had your fair share of hard times. What kept you going during the hard times, during those long training sessions, the late nights, the early mornings? What did that self-talk look like? Because I know for me, during those late nights when I would get home super late and I'd have to sit down, study film, watch the matches, study my notes that I had taken out the day, figuring out, okay, what did I actually learn throughout the day and taking that into the next day and building off of it. What kept me going was the idea of doing something that had never really been done before and pushing myself to the absolute limit, see how fast and how much I could learn. That really, really excites me. And I found a passion within wrestling and combat sports that I really only felt one other time in my life. So I felt like I had to run with it, that I had to see where it led. And so far it's led me to really incredible things and really incredible people such as yourself. And I plan to keep pursuing that for the rest of my life. And with that, the self-talk for me, it varied because especially I'm going in there, I'm very upset when I can't get the technique down or I'm getting taken down for 2 hours during the entire practice. I'm getting my butt kicked the entire time. So it varied from day to day, but I think that with daily practice, that helped me kind of move past that and just being aware of the negative thoughts that were kind of creeping into my head and trying to replace them with positive ones. So for example, like, if I was getting taken down 10 times in a row from a double leg, well, all right, I realize that it's from a double leg, what defense can I do? And even more so, okay, I'm getting taken down, but I'm getting back up. And that for me is very important because I sort of pride myself on resilience and I really want to kind of amplify that to everyone around me and just kind of show them that no matter what and no matter how hard it gets, you can get up and keep moving forward. So I was just wondering what kept you going during your hard times, and what did your self-talk look like during those?
Right. It was mainly, I would say, the toughest times of my career were my freshman kind of sophomore year of college, where I was taking some beatings, I was losing, and that can really kind of affect you mentally. But I really think that if you truly are dedicating yourself to something, like to this sport, like to the sport of wrestling, that you're dedicating all this time, you're dedicating all this energy towards it, that why quit at it now? Like, why not try to be the best you can at it? So I just had to remind myself of my overall goals of wrestling. Like, what do I want to get out of wrestling? I want this to be something I reflect positively on after I'm done wrestling, like in my future. I want to look back on it as something, like, even if I didn't win 2 national titles, I still wanted to look back on the sport as a good thing for me. So I just had to remind myself of my goals, and also just kind of having like a little, you have to have a chip on your shoulder. You have to be, you kind of have to be kind of just, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I really, really like that you keep going back to your goals and how you kind of looked back to them when you were having those hard times and how those goals kept you going, which is why I think it's really important for people to actually set goals and not just kind of wander around saying like, oh yeah, no, I want to win, but okay, what are you going to do to get to those wins? What are you going to do to get to that national championship? You have to have those incremental goals and steps along the way that will actually help carry you there, which I think that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. And you did, and it showed in dividends because you won 2 national championships. It's proven what you did worked and that you got massive results from doing that. So I guess my next question would be, it kind of builds off of what you were just talking about, but were people discouraging you, and were they saying, like, did you tell anyone that you wanted to win national championships, or was that just kind of something that you kept in? And then were people kind of discouraging you from working as hard as you did, from wanting to be as great as you were? And how did you respond to those people, if at all?
Yeah, I think, well, I know after my sophomore year, I had a decent year. Didn't end how I wanted to. I wanted to be a national qualifier. That was like my goal for that year. And going into my junior year, I think it was after the second tournament. I've been wrestling pretty good. I beat like a Division II All-American at my first tournament, and I beat some pretty solid guys in my second tournament. And my coach, Johnny Johnson, the head coach, he came up to me before practice one day, and he was like, yeah. Like, you know you can win it all this year, right? I'm just like, kind of like, called me like I was like, I'm like, well, my goal is to be like just a national qualifier. And he was just like, dude, you have what it takes to win it all. I'm just like, and like once he said that, he's kind of like, puts that idea in your head, and then that kind of idea kind of just grows and manifests in yourself. Yeah. And that really helped a lot. So that's not really discouraged. That's definitely encouraging. But I would say times I was discouraged, but definitely my, I think that in a training room, you definitely want to go and you want to train with the guys who are going to push you the hardest. Yeah. If I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna get the most out of the practice that I can. I don't want to go into a practice and go with a guy who's gonna slack off or not push me. That's just wasting my time. Wasting his time, wasting everyone's time. That's what discouraged me the most, as far as like just being practicing. Like when people weren't pushing on me, if I'm pouring it on them and they're just quitting on me, that's pretty discouraging for me. But yeah.
No, I totally get that. Because I know, in my experience at least, I don't think I really had anyone come up to me and literally say face to face, oh no, I don't think you can do this, like you should stop. But people were definitely like, oh, well, I don't know if that's great that you're trying to do that, but I don't know if you can necessarily compete with the people that have been doing it their whole lives. Or people would almost inadvertently say like, oh, like good for you, like kind of that like, oh, like yeah, cool that you're trying, but like I don't actually think that you can do it, and that lit a fire in me, just because of how they said it.
Yeah.
And it was never for me. It was never I'll show them. I didn't want to do what I was doing to prove somebody else wrong, because eventually that fire kind of burns out, and you need an internal why as to why you're doing it for yourself. And if you're doing it to prove somebody wrong, that kind of ember will burn out over time. And I think the only thing that I didn't never really said anything to these people. I was like, oh, okay, like cool, thanks for your opinion. But I prefer to respond to criticism with action. I think that if by taking action, that speaks a lot louder than me just saying something. If I'm actually in there putting the work for hours a day and then going home and studying film and reviewing notes and trying to take diligent notes during practices or after practices and asking questions or asking for extra drill sessions, that to me shows more to somebody else than anything that I could ever say. So that was kind of my philosophy when it came to people almost kind of not believing in me or discouraging me.
Yeah, and that definitely showed to me, you know, especially as your coach, like you really wanted to learn, like you were really dedicating yourself to the sport, which is a hard thing for, you know, even lifelong wrestlers to do. Like people will fizzle out during a season. You know, they'll pretty much a lot of people just quit halfway through the season, just kind of coast it out. But you know, any chance you get, you were learning. You were doing everything you could, which was honestly an amazing mindset to have.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. It was you were definitely very helpful with cultivating that during the season and kind of staying with it. So I appreciate you for helping me with that. But next, I wanted to kind of move into the topic of fear and how that kind of affected you throughout your career. But first, I kind of want to just have you define fear. So what is fear to you? Because to me, I think that Les Brown said it best. For those who don't know who Les Brown is, he's an incredible speaker. You should go listen to him on YouTube. But he said that fear is false evidence appearing real. So essentially, fear is a construct of your own mind. So you need to figure out what's making you fearful in that current situation. And then once you can figure out why you are in fact fearful for whatever reason, whether it be people's opinions or like people not believing in you or your parents not believing in you or something of that nature, then you can really move past it. Because for me, I had to really, really dig deep as to why I was fearful. And I was fearful because of how much work I had put in, and I wanted it to all pay off. I didn't want to go into the season not achieving everything that I wanted to achieve during that time. And I only had the 1 year. I didn't have 4 collegiate seasons to look forward to. I had 1 year to do as much as I could, and that for me was where that fear came. So I just want to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think when you talk about fear, especially in the sport of wrestling, you know, you have to talk about, you know, doubt. Doubt comes hand in hand with fear. You know, I believe that fear kind of stems from the doubt that you have within yourself or of yourself, and like once you eliminate your doubts, the fears kind of fade away. They don't exist anymore. So I think that, yeah, it's definitely what you said. Fear is a construct of your mind. It's, you know, it's not really real in that sense. But I think also fear can be kind of a primal thing. Like, you know, like everyone, like you get fearful, like you get fight or fight response.
Yep.
You know, going back to like biology, where, you know, wrestling is a fight. You know, if you're not gonna fight, and if you go into flight mode, then you've beaten yourself. You lost the match. You're not gonna win. You know.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
That's my thoughts on fear.
No, I totally agree. I think that with saying, I like the fact that you brought it back to that primal fight or flight, because I think that if you can figure out why you're fearful and you can kind of get that to melt away, you'll become twice as powerful almost, because you have control of that sympathetic nervous system, that fight, where you have that adrenaline, where you have that excess energy to go out and perform and use that to your advantage. But I think that with the fear, if you let that control you, then it's just going to tear you down. And you have one.
It shuts you down.
There's no middle ground. I think that if you can control it, it's very powerful and it's very beneficial to you. But it takes a long time to learn how to get to that state. And I think that you having the career that you did and your mindset and seeing you in the room, you definitely did get to that mindset and moving past fear and using it to your benefit. So that was really, really cool to see throughout the entire year. So is there a time that stands out to you where you were like overzealous, kind of, you really, really felt the fear or doubt, like deep in your bones, like something that really, really stands out to you? And then how did you move past it?
I guess when I was going back to my freshman year, I got beat up beat up on by quite a bit of people. One time especially, I remember was I had to wrestle a kid from Oshkosh who was a 3-time national champion. I was in the dual. I had to wrestle. I was a freshman. I was tiny, and he, going into the match, I'm just like, man, I just don't get pinned. Just don't get pinned. Like, just try. Like, I was wrestling to not lose. Which is not the right mindset to have. I think that because I was like all freshman year, I was undersized, I was inexperienced, I was struggling to win matches. It can be hard to get over the fear of having all those things in my mind all the time, just because I wasn't all there physically. Because I thought I wasn't all there physically, that then made me not all there mentality-wise.
Yep. So for people watching this, I really just want to kind of emphasize one thing, that if you have this extreme fear, don't shy away from it. You need to step into it and take its power away and really control it, and that will give you in turn power and you confidence over when the next time that fear might arise. Because I know that
most definitely.
I know that for me, one of my most, I guess, fearful experiences, or one experience that stands out, was the red versus white. Do you remember that? Like the first match that we had as a team, it was a scrimmage against my teammates, or our own teammates, and for me, it was my very first like collegiate match or match ever on an actual mat in front of people, like with an actual referee and coaches in my corner. And I remember specifically, like you tried to get me to calm down a bunch, and I wasn't really calming down too much before that first match. But what I really tried to do was just kind of step into it and not let it control me, and just go out and at least wrestle and at least get through the match to show myself, hey, like I can get through this and I can become better because of it, and I can really go out there and enjoy myself and have fun and really enjoy all the work that I've put in and see the results from that. And that was really what I tried to take away. It's just really funny thinking back on that.
I remember you were just so, you were up, just like you were up already like 30 minutes for your match, and you were just so like in this, like trying to get in the zone, but I could tell you were real nervous. And I was just trying to, make you, just relax and like just kind of like let loose, because, if you're just all tight and nervous, that's not going to help you at all. It's going to negatively affect your performance.
Yep, absolutely. So with all the fear and doubt that you experience, what can you take away from that today? So like, what did you learn, and how is that serving you as today, Logan, from all that stuff that you went through during your wrestling career?
Right. So I used to have that. I think I used to have a mindset of, I was, like who am I to like everyone else? Like I'm not that good, or like, I'm just a kid from a small town who was just joined the college wrestling team. I wasn't a recruiter or anything, so like I just felt like, I'm just joining the team and I'm gonna do the best I can. And no one was expecting anything of me. I wasn't expecting anything of myself, and just kind of, just being happy to take part. And as soon as I started thinking like, well, why not me? Like everyone's just a kid from somewhere. Like everyone's just someone from somewhere. So like, why not me? Like why can't I achieve or do these things that other people are doing? I guess that's definitely what I learned and what I still try to use in my life right now.
No, I totally agree. I try to take some of that as well. I really like that "Why not me?" because for me, growing up, like I was never like that all-star at any sport in particular. Like I was never the one really looked at by coaches like, oh yeah, that kid, like he's gonna be great. And I really like that. Like, oh okay, like why not me though? Like everyone else that's become great is just a person. Like they're no different from me. Why can't I become like them if I just try and put in the work and I really put in more hours and I do it in a different way than other people might have in the past. So I really like that you have that as well and that you kind of just touched on that. So I kind of want to move into what your thoughts were going into the national championship because you did win it 2 times in a row, and I was wondering if your thoughts changed from your junior to your senior year. Maybe were you less nervous in your senior year? Did you have less doubt, or did you have more doubt, feeling pressure to possibly having to repeat, especially once you got there?
Right. Well, my junior year, I was not expected to win it. So I was a 5 seed going to nationals. I wasn't even ranked. I was never in like the top 10 rankings prior at all that whole year until I beat a couple guys at regionals. And I was ranked 5th, and I made my way all the way through. The 1 seed actually got upset on my side, so I made it all the way through the semis and into the finals. And you know, when things aren't expected of you, it's a lot easier to be able to have less fears or fewer doubts, because my mentality was I wasn't even really supposed to kind of be in the finals in the first place. So it kind of gave me like the freedom to just let it fly and be attacking and trying all these different moves and trying all these different things to win the match. And I think that was huge because, it was my offense and everything that I was doing that had won me the match ultimately my junior year.
Yep.
And then comparing that to my senior year. So after my junior year, I won it. And I was like, oh man, it was like the week after I was like, oh yeah, I won it. And I was like, now I have to win it again. I'm like, now there's all this pressure on me, and I was like the target on my back, and now there's like all this added pressure that I was like, all right. So like literally not even a week after, I was already back wrestling in the room and training and just trying to be better than I was my junior year, because I knew I had to be better than I was my junior year to win it again.
Yep.
So going into my senior year in the finals, I made it to the finals pretty handedly. And I was, all year I was definitely more conservative with my wrestling. I wasn't kind of letting it fly like I did my junior year. And I think that's just because of, people knew who I was now, and it was hard to, do the things that I normally did. So I had to kind of change up my style a little bit, and, just be less, dangerous and not, because when you're more dangerous, you can definitely negatively affect you and cost you matches. So I was just being more conservative. I was, still though, I was calm. I was cool. I was just relaxed.
Yep.
My senior year and junior year, both finals matches, relaxed, and it's hard. I was walking out in front of you're in a stadium, you're in front of a couple thousand people, and my first year, like all the lights were off, and it was just like spotlight on the mat. It was just like me against him, and it was it was crazy. And
yeah, for sure.
but it you just kind of have to zone it out at a point. Zone it out. Just treat it like you're wrestling in the practice room. You're wrestling against my training partner, and I'm just going to wrestle calm, cool, and collected.
Yep. No, I love that. I love your entire mindset and how you handled that situation to not only win it once, but to repeat it. That's something that is really, really incredible, and it's been an honor to kind of like pick your brain and just kind of be an athlete under your tutelage during the year, and just have you as a resource. So thank you for that, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. So before I ask my final question, where can everyone listening find you online or on social media, Instagram, just in case they want to like maybe DM you and ask you any more questions, or just get in touch with you for whatever reason?
Yeah, you can, find me on Facebook, Logan. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Logan Michael Hermsen on Facebook. On my Twitter, Hermsen Logan or Logan Hermsen, and my Instagram is ASAP_Herm_Shaba. My name's Logan Michael, I think, right now. So yeah, you can hit me up on any of those if you have questions for me.
Yep, and I'll tag him on my Instagram posting about this. So if you don't know my Instagram, it's Ike44, no caps, no space, EICH44, in case you want to check out Logan and ask him anything. So my final question, if people can take one thing from this entire conversation, what would you want them to take away from this?
Oh man. I would say in anything you do, whether it be wrestling or not, whether it be, in your careers, in your other athletic pursuits, in, anything you want to do, mentality is everything. You need to have that mentality and dedication to whatever is important to you. If you have a good mentality and if you're dedicated, that will take you far in anything. I guess that's what I would say.
I couldn't agree more. Logan, thank you again for taking the time to join me. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm really excited that we got to sit down and do this. Guys, everyone watching, thank you for watching. Just wanted to put in this really quick that I will be offering online training for anyone who is interested within the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. And more podcast episodes will be coming soon to kind of close out the mini-series within another maybe 1-2 episodes. Thank you again, Logan, for joining me.